The story of FC Bordeaux is one of the saddest in current football. Not too long ago, this was a team that was winning the Ligue 1 title in 2009. They've actually won that trophy 6 times in their past. Now though, after some poor financial mismanagement from their previous ownership and then their new ownership falling through, they found themselves relegated to the 3rd tier of French football, losing their professional licence, and it does not look good for the future of the club, which is where I'm going to come in now and try and help them out. That's right, today's rebuild will be with the French club Bordeaux, with the aim of taking them in 5 years, not just to Ligue 1, but to try and win that title. Now you might notice our club is actually in the 2nd tier and not the 3rd. That's because this change of the team being put into the 3rd division has only happened very recently, not due to their league position last season, but due to the financial state of the club. So for that reason, even with the mod pack I've got, the club is still in the 2nd tier of French football. But either way, it's going to be a fun rebuild. Hopefully it will give some joy to the Bordeaux fans who will be going through a terrible time right now. But despite the financial issues the club faces, in-game there is still quite a bit going for us. I mean, the facilities are good, the academy coaching and the youth recruitment are okay, we've got plenty of trophies in the past, so the club are used to winning things, and we've got a huge stadium too. But that's not the only thing, we actually have quite a few top level talents for the 2nd tier already in our team. According to the game, our best player is Albert Ellis, an attacker from Honduras, whilst 25-year-old Spaniard Pedro Diaz is a very capable midfielder, and 30-year-old Johan Barbet is one of our leaders at the heart of our defence. But Bordeaux have produced plenty of great young talents in the past, and there's already quite a few at the club. Marvin de Lima looks to be a very promising left winger, homegrown product Lenny Pirangel looks to be a top talent, and there's a great young striker too, 21-year-old Slovenian Zan Vopotnik. Season preview wise, we are predicted to finish in 5th place, 7-2 odds of winning the title. It's certainly not bad, we're not necessarily the favourites for it, but we're not super out of contention that it could never happen. Budget wise, we haven't really got much to go off, as you can imagine with the financial situation of the club, only £1.5 million to spend, nothing in the wage budget. But either way, as always, I'm going to try and work whatever transfers I can, try and improve this team ahead of our first season, where I'm aiming already to try and get promoted. And our first transfer window certainly wasn't easy. We had a few players turn us down. I actually had to sell some transfer clauses just to get a little bit of money into the club, but I was able to bring in a few top talents that I think could take us right to the very top. The first was a centre-back, an area where I felt we lacked any kind of promise in the position. We had some experienced players, but no one that could grow with the club as we hopefully get promoted. So I've gone out and signed Alex Pascanu, who's a 24-year-old Romanian under-21 international, considered one of our best players already. We have picked him up for a fee of 1.3 million from the club Ponferrada out in the 2nd tier of Spain. I don't really know who they are, haven't really heard of them, but either way, we've gone out there, taken one of their players, formerly of the Leicester City Youth Academy. Pascanu looks to be a very good ball-playing defender who will hopefully slot in nicely into our back line. But our other signing is one that I think could prove equally as key, Jethren Adelaide, the brilliant midfielder. He's now 25, but at one point he was a wonder kid in Football Manager. He's been to Lens, been to Arsenal, been to Lyon, been to Nice, been to Angers, even Troy on loan, and now he is joining us as a free agent at Bordeaux. I think he's going to be a great addition to our midfield, definitely increases the quality in our team, and I think this has been a brilliant window for us in terms of just adding a little bit to push us over the line and hopefully become title contenders. And those transfers have definitely helped us, because the game now predicts us to finish in 3rd place with 15-5 odds, so things have certainly got better for us since those new incomings. But we'll see how it works out, because I am playing a pretty brave formation. I'm going all out in a 4-2-4 system, and here is what is currently considered our best 11. Our best goalkeeper at the club is Carl Jonsson, who's a 33-year-old former Swedish international, with Michelin at right back, age 26. In the defence, we've got Pascanu and Barbet, who you've met, alongside Vital and Simba, who is a 30-year-old Congolese left back. In the midfield, it's Diaz and Ren Adelaide. On the right wing, we've got the Georgian Davitashvili, and on the left wing, we've got Livolant, who is a 25-year-old Frenchman. Then up top, our best strikers are Ellis, who we've met, and Iliou Badji, who is a Senegalese 25-year-old. A good player, but realistically, I think I'm going to look to play Vopotnik as much as possible in that position across the course of the season. But that is our team ready to go. We spent pretty much all of the budget that we had available to us, and to show you the financial situation in game isn't as bad as real life, I'm sure. Yes, there is £8 million in the balance, but actually, the debts and loans, we do owe £24 million. Probably nowhere near as much as real life, mind you, but I can only go with what the game's provided me. Either way, it's not going to be an easy job, but we're going to go all out in our first season here, try and get promoted from Ligue 2, and then the real challenge will come in if we can get promoted to the 1st tier, but one step at a time. And our first season went far better than expected. We did not just compete for the title, we showed that we were the strongest team in the division by far. And that dominance was best summed up in this game against Angers, where we really dominated them, scoring 1 goal very early on. And even though I would have considered them a title rival at the start of the season, we managed to add a second pretty quickly, Davashvili finding Popnik in the area, who tucked it away. Not too long after that, a set piece routine allowed us to make it 3, new signing Ren Adelaide scoring. They did pull 1 goal back after that to make it 3-1, but a penalty from Ellis, and then another attack a few minutes later allowed us to go another goal and 2 ahead, with Badji scoring to make it 5-1. And despite another consolation goal from them, we added another 88 minutes on the clock, Ellis scoring. That was 6-2, and that was a sign of just how dominant we were across the course of the season, because Angers was certainly not a bad team. And that allowed us to storm to the title, a 9-point difference between us and second place Paris FC, Auxerre, Troyes and Saint Etienne getting into the playoff positions, but we clearly dominated, we're definitely the best team, and as you can see from our schedule, we actually started off the season phenomenally, winning pretty much every game for the first 2 months, not even conceding a goal in the month of September. We scored 24 more goals than our closest competitor across the course of the season, whilst also conceding the least in the league as well, and that was all we could ask for from our players, who all did a great job. I mean, Davitashvili managed to score 18, Ren Adelaide with 6, Pedro Diaz with 5, Ellis with 16, and Badji even hit 18 goals himself, so it was a real team effort. But I've got to be honest, now we're heading into Ligue 1, I imagine most of those players won't even get a sniff next season. I've got £6 million to work with and a decent bit of wage budget, so I feel like if I can make the right deals happen, we could actually make a team capable of staying up. So I'll make some transfers to give ourselves the best chance of staying up. Obviously, this is going far better than what could have happened for Bordeaux in real life with their real financial situation, but I can only do what I've got in the game to work with. We're going to try and deliver Bordeaux some glory, but first, we need some new signings. Now, I said I was aiming in the market to give ourselves a chance of staying up, and I think with the business we've done, we might just have done that. But before I show you the transfers, as always at this stage of the video, I'm going to ask you guys to do me a huge favour. It takes a few seconds, but if you could just scroll down and hit the like button, you can forget you ever did it, but it gives my channel and these videos a massive boost. If you haven't yet subscribed as well, make sure you do so. We do weekly rebuilds here on the channel, weekly rebuilds here on the channel. So if you like this, you'll enjoy what we've got to come and what we've already done as we push for 40k. Every subscriber counts, and comment down below what rebuild you want to see next. Every rebuild we do is based on your suggestions. And the final thing is I do have a Patreon linked in the description down below. Over there you can support me as a creator, but in return you do get access to all of the save files from these videos, season 1 through to 5 for every single rebuild we've done, so you can either continue after we finish in season 5 or maybe jump in season 2, 3, 4 and try and do a better job than what I've done. But that's all the plug-in done. Let's show you the transfers. Let's start with the outgoings. Firstly, Marvin de Lima leaves on loan to Sienne for the season to develop there. One of our backup goalkeepers, Davy Royard, has left to go and join Nice for 100,000, and our starting goalkeeper, the Swedish Carl Jonsson, has gone to join Malmo in his home country for a fee of £300,000. There's more sales than that though. We lost a promising prospect in Bryce Denet. He's gone to Saint Etienne for 350k against our will, but at least we can reinvest that and buy some new players. One of our young defensive midfielders has also moved on. Emmanuel Biumla didn't necessarily fit our tactics, so I wasn't too upset about letting him go. 700,000 to Bordeaux, could rise to 1.7, so again, another deal I think we can accept considering he didn't play last year. Badji had a brilliant season for us, but when Schalke came knocking on the door, he wanted to go there, and to be honest, with the targets I had in mind, I wasn't too opposed to letting him go. 850k was the fee for a man that scored 15 goals in the second tier. How well that would have translated to the top division, I'm not too sure, but either way, he's gone. We also moved on Matthias de Amarin, who is a promising central midfielder, 19 years of age. He goes to Lorient. I never thought he'd quite make the cut. He might end up doing so, but I just didn't think he'd make it here. So when they offered 1.2 million, it made sense. He played twice last year, wasn't a key player, and while some of these guys had promise, I expect in a few years, by the time they're probably ready to play for the first team, will have far exceeded the ability that they've got right now. We also lost Tom Lacroix. He's gone to play for Stade de Reims in the top division. £2 million was the fee for him. He played 7 times last year, looks to be a very good player out the academy, but doesn't really fit the system we're trying to play. He's very defensive minded and it doesn't really suit our tactics. pick. And then the big sale, one of our main men from last season, Albert Ellis, has moved to play for Crystal Palace in the Premier League still, I assume. Yes, they are. They didn't get relegated, so good luck to him there. He's going to be a squad player at the club, 3.8 million, rising to 4.7. Not a bad deal for us. Obviously, he is a big loss for the team in terms of what he can offer, but I feel like we can make do, and honestly, when you get offered £5 million for someone like this, you kind of have to take it at this stage. Let's move through the incomings though, because there is a lot. Firstly, Patrick Van Aanholt, former Chelsea player, former Palace player, joins us on a free, age 33. He'll play a season or so for us before retiring. I think he's a handy option to have at left back, or at least as a deputy. Nicholas Opoku is a 26-year-old Ghanaian former international who's going to offer an extra body in the centre of defence. He was in on a free, as was 29-year-old Alvaro Vadillo, formerly of Real Betis and Huesca, Granada, Malaga, Eibar, Ferrol, Espanyol. He's done a tour of Spain, now he's going to leave for the first time. This will be a great chance for him, and he is valued at 10 million, so it's a free transfer. I'm delighted with this. You saw two of our goalkeepers went though, so we needed a new one, and we have picked up Danny Martin, again another Spaniard from the Spanish division, signing from FC Andorra, where he was great last year. We paid £1.5 million for him, which looks to be a bargain for the 26-year-old. It's actually about the same money we made from our Swedish goalkeeper, and he's still got some time yet to grow. 26 is pretty young for a goalie. We've added a new right back to our ranks as well. 21-year-old Uruguayan Mateo Ponte was found by our scouts, and we have bought him in for 1.5 million, rising to 1.6. Was playing out for Botafogo, I believe this is, in the Brazilian divisions. I don't know how good he's going to be for us just yet, but he looks to be, according to the star ratings, as much as I shouldn't trust them, looks to be a good player. This is where the signings get exciting though. Henrique Araujo is in. The 22-year-old Portuguese forward looks to be a bargain for the price we've got him for. Only 2.5 million, rising to 2.8 on the transfer list from Benfica. Scored some goals in Ligue 1 last season for Saint Etienne. Now he comes to us. I feel like he could do the business. He's got promise, he's got good starting ability, and even if it doesn't work out from straight away, if we do get relegated, he'll be a good striker for that level. Speaking of good strikers, Nelson Viper is going to be his partner up top. Two new forwards coming in to play with each other. This is the German 19-year-old with brilliant attributes all around and a lot of potential still. Signing from Mainz for 4 million, rising to 4.4. We know exactly what this boy can do in other rebuilds. He's been great for us, but when our scouts brought him in, I was absolutely delighted. As soon as I saw that scout report, I thought, yes, let's get him. Nelson Viper is into the club. And our final signing is the Spaniard Francho, who is a 22-year-old who we have picked up from Zaragoza for 2.5 million. Was great in the second tier of Spain, seemed to have brought through a big core of Spanish players here, and that box-to-box role could be a brilliant player in our 11, and is now valued at 6 million. So it seems like it is a great piece of business from us. And this is our new look best 11. I did mention after last season, I think our starting team is going to look completely different from previous, and it's about there. I mean, half of the players I'd say are new. We've got Martin in goal. Michelin keeps his place at right back alongside Barbe and Pascanu, but Van Aanholt comes into the defence. Franco joins Diaz in the midfield, whilst Vadillo and Araujo also join in the attack alongside Vopotnik and also Davidashvili. Now, I don't know whether all of those guys are going to start long term. I'd imagine eventually we'd still know some Viper come into that position a little bit. Maybe Ren Adelaide is in the midfield or on the wing. I don't necessarily know, but either way, this is our team. This is what we're looking at. Let's see, and I haven't actually checked this yet. Does the game expect us to avoid relegation? It's actually much better than I thought, because we are predicted 11th place, 150 to 1 odd title favourites, but the fact that we've got the same odds as pretty much everyone other than Paris FC in this bottom half tells you just how close it could be, and any of these guys really could go down. The game expects Paris FC are pretty much dead and buried, but more teams will join them. I just hope one of those teams is not us. I think that's a pretty good start though, the fact that our business has already got us to the point where we're predicted 11th place. But we've got to hope for results quick, because as you can see, our financial situation is getting a little bit worse. The debt has risen a slight amount, not by a huge amount, but I think we need to get some success first, stay in Ligue 1, try and compete for Europe eventually, and then we can start working off that debt and making some big sales. But first, we can't get ahead of ourselves. We need to stay up in Season 2, so let's see what our new team can do. And this season was definitely a mixed bag. We had some decent results, also some horrible periods of form. But before we talk about the league, let's focus on our other competition, which was the French Cup. Now, we made it into the 10th round of this competition, facing off against Stade Rennes. Crazy to think even after the 10th round, there's still a long way to go before the final. But we got off to a flyer for this brilliant goal from Araujo. But this game was back and forth. The first example of that being Terrier finding Giori, two brilliant players linking up to equalise. But then it was us back at the other end, creating a chance just before half-time. Pedro Diaz with a great ball over the top, Divashvili playing it across and Araujo stepping home to put us in the lead. But only 50 seconds after the whistle for the second half blew, Francis Coquelin found the Mingiori in the area again. He pulled it back, this time to Terrier, those two linking up for another goal. And it looked like we might have claimed a winner. In the 73rd minute, we went forward down the right wing, a ball came in and Nelson Viper tucked away with a clean finish. But just as time seemed to be ticking out, 88 minutes on the clock, Siedu came forward, found Calimendo, some brilliant players in this Stade Rennes team. They managed to put it past our goalie. That was 3-3 and it looked like extra time was looming until 30 seconds later, just before the 90th minute. Terrier yet again finding Coquelin, a brilliant player in his own right. He scored, that was 4-3, we came crashing out the cup. Not a bad effort, and it does show we can compete with some of these bigger teams, but we are going to concede a ton of goals. In fact, we conceded so many that, as you can see, since March in the league to May, we had all of these games, only managed to get 2 wins, 1 draw, and the rest pretty resounding losses. But thankfully it was a season where we really didn't have to be that good because everybody else was so poor, and we have managed to stay up in a good position. I mean, 11th is great, 37 points. When you see that Paris FC got relegated on 14, that kind of eliminated them from the equation completely, but Brest, who got relegated, and Montpellier, that were in the playoffs for relegation, were only 9 points away from us. Only 3 wins separated us, but the same can be said for all of the teams below us. The French league is kind of like this, where everyone is in danger of relegation, bar a certain few, who are basically the ones that are untouchable. But I think with a few good signings, we definitely could start breaking forward. The issue is PSG is so dominant that after this, we've got 3 years to try and overtake them, and we are nowhere near them just yet. In fact, this year at home, they managed to beat us 6-1. Away from home, we didn't put up too bad of a fight though, losing 4-3, but again, 2 losses, not the best season at all, and thankfully, those random wins throughout the year definitely helped us get that little boost and stay up. But realistically, there's a few men that we need to thank for staying up in the division this season. Divashvili was one of them. He was brilliant across the course of the year. 7 goals, 4 assists, a 7 average match rating. For a player that's been here for quite a while, the Georgian is making a name for himself. Henrique Araujo scored 17, a brilliant first season from him. Meanwhile, Nelson Viper, who I asked to play as often as possible, also bagged 15 goals himself. So it was a very good season from our new look front two. Even if they didn't play amazingly well, they did score a ton of goals, and that was a big difference in keeping us up this season. And as great as that team did to stay up, I cannot show any loyalty. I need to make sure Bordeaux stay in the top flight and keep progressing, else our financial situation might catch up to us. We've got 5 million to spend in the 3rd season. There's only 9 grand of wage budget, so I'm going to have to shift some players on and really start wiggling this team around if I want to make them a team that can regularly stay up in Ligue 1, but also compete for some European places. And I must say, our financial situation has caught up to us a little bit at this stage. I really wasn't able to spend any money at all. In fact, everyone that you see that I've bought in this season was bought in on free transfers. There wasn't any huge sales, but there were a few. Firstly, one of our backup goalkeepers has left. A Polish 26-year-old has gone to sign for Auxerre in the 1st tier with us for 250,000. Academy product Julian Vetro has moved on to go and play for Lommel out in Belgium for 550k. Did play a little bit for us in the 2nd tier, scored a few goals, but his time was up at the club. And we've also sold on Michelin. The Michelin man, aged 28, has left us to go and join Cadiz in Spain. I think we've signed enough players from Spain that we can send one back the other way. 675,000, not a bad fee for a player who I think was a decent right back that we could definitely improve upon. And improve upon him we did with the incoming of Emil Kraft, a Swedish 30-year-old. Yes, he is a little bit on the older side from what I normally sign, but he's a very good player for this level. We've bought him in on a free contract from Newcastle, where he hasn't played for a few years, so it'll be good to try and get some football back under his belt. He is a good fullback. Is he going to be great? Probably not, but he can definitely cover that position for a few years, no issue. Alexander Meyer has came in as a new backup goalkeeper, age 34. He won't be around for long, leaving Borussia Dortmund, but is a handy, capable deputy. As is Jerome Roussillon, who joins us in that left back spot. Van Aanholt left at the end of his contract, so we needed some cover there. Roussillon comes in on a free. He's been playing for Union Berlin, and you can hardly say playing. 8 appearances in the last 2 years. Not great, but the Frenchman comes and joins us, and I think will slot in nicely at left back. We've got some depth for the other fullback positions though, with the signing of Thomas Delaney. The 33-year-old has joined us from Strasbourg on a free. He's played some games there, not amazingly well, but he covers a lot of positions. He's good depth for both fullback spots, so I'm happy to bring him in. And then there was a loanee, and that was it for our window. Christian Mosquera was our last incoming. The 21-year-old Spanish defender joins from Valencia on a loan. He's going to be a big part of our first team, I hope, because he has been playing for them on a regular basis, so he's clearly a good player. This almost seems like like a step down from him at this stage, but I'm not going to complain. We've got him in on a loan, not paying much for him either, so fingers crossed it will all work out well. And I know what you're thinking, that's one of the most underwhelming transfer windows ever, but I am trying to be responsible with the finances at the club, not spend too much. We also had to give new deals to a lot of our players this year as they were expiring, so a lot of money's been spent on the contract side of things, so I didn't want to make too many sales, but we have been left with a very good team, I'd say, for a lower level Ligue 1 side. Danny Martin is a good goalie, Kraft, Mosquera, Barbet and Roussillon is a strong defence with Francho and Diaz, and going forward is where I think it gets pretty talented. Ren Adelaide, Liverlon, Viper and Araujo finishing off the rest of the 11, and you expect that we'll see some of Davishashvili on the left wing or the right wing because he's been so good for us. Robotnik's still here, there's some good players all around. Is it a team that's ever going to win Ligue 1? Not at this stage, not for a long way to be honest, but the board now already want mid-table. The fact that we're predicted 13th and less odds than before to win it shows that we probably haven't came too far this season. So the board are expecting more, but the game thinks we've actually worsened our team a little bit, or everyone else has got better. Either way, it's not going to be an easy year, but we need to deliver. My aim this year is to get a top 10 finish, not out the realms of possibility, but we need to be our best to get that. So fingers crossed all will go well in season 3. And in our third year as Bordeaux manager, it hasn't necessarily gone amazing, but it was definitely better than we did last year, and it shows we are moving in the right direction, despite what the game might have thought before the season started. We did have a historic result in our tenure as manager with a first ever points against PSG. They went 1-0 up through Ramos, but we actually held our own in this game. We managed to compete with the French giants, Viper playing it through to Araujo onto Liverlant, who managed to tuck it away past Donnarumma and earned us a draw. Not only that, we managed to put Marseille to the sword too in a very convincing win, a dominant victory where we got off to a flyer in the 8th minute through Pedro Diaz's brilliant long range strike. We did then wait until the 96th minute before our next goal, but it was definitely a welcome one to secure the points. Ponte going down the right wing into the area, Nelson Viper rising highest, and that was 2. And whilst it was by no means a brilliant season, we had managed to finish in 6th place, which is a Conference League position, 53 points, a negative goal difference, 11 losses and 8 draws. Doesn't look too good, but we got 15 wins a lot of the time, beating the teams that we should beat in those lower down parts of the league. We managed to get on top of them. Metz, Saint Etienne and Lorient were the teams in trouble this season, but we managed to clear a few of the teams that we were near last year. We managed to get into that top 6, secure some European football. The French Cup wasn't great, but I cannot complain at all. 53 points isn't too many, but it is certainly a happy sight to see. You can see we kind of went through spurts where we won a few in a row, and then suddenly we started losing a few in a row towards the end of the season. Seems like we do burn out with this Bordeaux team a few times in a row now towards the end of the year, but there were some key players yet again this season, Ren Adelaide and Diaz being key for us in the midfield, whilst Viper chipped in with 9 goals, Araujo with 11, not as prolific this season, but still equally as important. Liverlon got 9 this year, Mabil got 5, he's a player that I've just realised I haven't even shown you I signed. Our Mabil is his name, he is a very quick winger that we have bought in, an Australian. We got him for a free last season. I don't know why he didn't come up when I was showing you the players, but either way, there he is. We bought him in on a free, a real journeyman player, but a capable option on the wings. A good year for him. And what this stability in Ligue 1 has meant for us is a healthy bank balance, but also some of that's been used now to clear some of the debts that we did owe. So the club is getting into a better financial state. There's also rumours that a takeover might be coming in, but it's been popping in and out for the last year or so I don't know if it will happen. This board though, they do not want to upgrade anything to do with youth or the academy coaching. Training facilities, they're always more than happy to upgrade, but everything else, they are stalwart. They do not want to improve it no matter what I say. But we are going into our 4th season now with 14 million to spend, not much wage budget, but if we adjust that, we're looking at a £10 million transfer window. Who would have thought it? We've actually got some money to spend, but the team's looking like they're pretty strong. We've got some decent money too, but we are now going into Europe, and this is the point where we need to start kicking on and bringing some players in if we want to compete across all fronts. Now last season we were pretty reserved in the transfer window, I must say, but this year we have made up for it. We had a £10 million budget, we spent it all, and I think we have upgraded the team, not just a little bit, but almost doubly improved the quality of this squad. Some departures though. Alex Piscanu has left us at the end of his contract, didn't want to extend, even though he was still a key player for us, and he's gone to Almeria in the first tier, but a good servant for 1.4 million, cannot complain with what he did for us. Now age 27, goes and enjoys new experience, and I've got no qualms about that. It is the end of Liverlon though, who is now playing for Troyes after his contract expired, which I think is a step down, but you know, it's up to him. Vidillo's been moved on just to clear his wages off the books. He just isn't that great anymore. Looked good when he came in, but then he's really declined over the last season or so, and now he's at Utrecht for 86k. Opoku, who's gone to play for Hertha Berlin, a capable player that came in and covered that position for a few years, but now moves on for 225,000. Marcelin is a 26-year-old centre-back now, who has been at the club for a little while. We sold him for 245k after not appearing much at all. And then we lost our Ukrainian midfielder, Ignatenko, who I haven't covered yet, but he's been at the club for a few years, has played a lot of football, done quite well, but in his most recent season did not play much, so he decided time was up. We got about 600k for him. This is the fun part though, the incomings, where I'd say every player that comes in is basically our best player that we would have ever had in our previous season, so that's how good all of these signings are. Firstly, Osame Sarawi, a 25-year-old Norwegian international winger who joins us from Hereven in the Eredivisie, where he's been exceptional for 3 years and a brilliant pickup for us. We lose Pascanu and replace him with a very good centre-back, Belgian international 27-year-old Zeno Vandhausen, who is formerly of Inter, Standard Liège and Sassuolo. Now he is a Bordeaux player, a real coup for us yet again on a free. A young Dutchman is coming in at left back. Prince Anning has left his time at Borussia Dortmund with his contract expiring, and we were the first ones to swoop in. Formerly of Ajax and of Dortmund, that is not a bad couple of clubs to develop your talent at, and now he's coming in to play some football for us in that left back slot. Ruben Vezo comes in as one of our best defenders, age 32, not many years left in the tank, but the Cape Verdean is an international who's been playing for Olympiacos, Levante, Valencia, a great career, done very well out in Greece as well recently, so another one I think really boosts our team's level. Our old backup goalkeeper Meyer has left, so we bought in a new one. This is Haug. He's a Norwegian 28-year-old former international, only going to cover that position, but is not a bad player to bring in at all, and he's got a few more years left on his deal than Meyer did. A great signing for us though was Mohamed Ali Ben Romdan, who is a Tunisian regular international 26-year-old who is a brilliant player, brought in from Ferencváros, where he has been fantastic out in Hungary, and I mean fantastic. He comes in, I think, as one of the best players we've got, if not the best, a fantastic midfielder, a consistent performer, and he is going to be a gem for us in this side. But I said we added quality, and what more quality could you want in the French tier than signing Alexandra Mitrovic on a 24 grand a week contract as a free agent, age 31. Clearly that time at Al Hilal meant that he got so much money he was willing to accept anything here. Only a few years after moving for 43 million, scoring bags of goals, he has come and joined us. What a player he is, what a striker he's going to be. He is someone that I think could really drag us up the league table. And then two more signings that we actually spent money on. A 26-year-old Norwegian international for the right wing this time. This is Hakon Evjen. We seem to go through phases. First it was Spanish players, now it's Norwegians. He signs from Bodo Glimt, where he's been great. £5.5 million is the fee, rising to 7.5. Our biggest transfer yet, but I'm hoping a good one. But a deal I was very happy to get over the line was Christian Mosquera, who joined us on loan for the season, did a decent job, so we have picked him up for £5 million, rising to 6. A great deal for a man that is now valued at 30 million quid, 22 years of age, and a promising backline defender for the future. Now, if we have a look at what our best 11 is, I think it's going to look so much better than before, and what a team that is now. Danny Martin in goal, Kraft, Vezo, Mosquera, and Anning, pretty much a new backline. Francho and Romdane with Evjen on one wing, Sarawi on the other, and then we've got Mitrovic and Araujo with Viper on the bench, and Adelaide as well, Ponte. What a great team we've assembled. I'm hoping will now be predicted a little bit better than where we were before. If we do take a look, we are predicted 10th place, 100 to 1 odds of winning the title. Last year it was 200 to 1 odds, but we proved everyone wrong and got in 6th place. I think this season we could go one further. Who knows though, we have got to compete in both the French Cup and now European football for the first time in the Conference League. I don't know if we'd be favourites for this. I'd assume we'll at least expect to get pretty far in the knockouts with the quality of teams in here, already winning one game 6-0 look in the qualifying round. There's a chance. I'm not saying we're going to win that, but there's a chance we could do well. But now it's time to see what we can do. Our team is ready to go. A new look team for Season 4. And this season, I think, is going to go down in the record books of Bordeaux fans as one of their favourite years ever. Pretty big contrast to where they are in real life, so hopefully any Bordeaux fans watching do get at least some joy out of this. But let's start with the French Cup, where we made it to the quarter-final to face Rennes, a team that have given us some pretty good games already in this rebuild, but it shows how far we've come, because after 3 minutes, we scored a goal to take the lead, and we ended up winning that game 6-1 in the quarters, leading us to a semi-final match. Unfortunately, that was where our journey ended. We faced off against Marseille, and in a very close game, Ismaili Scar scored the only goal to give them the win. But look, that's the best we've done in the French Cup so far. Semi-final is not bad at all, particularly when one of our other cup competitions was going quite well too. Because in the Europa Conference League, we smashed the league phase, making it to the round of 16 where we took out Dinamo Zagreb. We then faced off against Freiburg, and this brilliant no-look assist from Ren Adelaide helped us to a 3-1 win. That set up a semi-final against a fellow French side in Lyon, who were obviously going to give us a very tough game, and it was a real battle. We got off to an early start through Mitrovic in the 3rd minute, before we gave the ball away with some poor play in our defence, leading to a chance and a goal from Endo for Lyon. This was at their stadium, and it proved, because they did actually dominate this leg. They got some really good players, and they helped the team go 2-1 up, a very good finish from Grombeck. But we'd already made it to the semi-final, we were capable of playing teams like this, and we did manage to pull a goal back, a brilliant assist to Nelson Viper, who equalised for 2-2. And that result was great, because it meant we came into the home leg with the scores level. Now, I said this year Mitrovic was here to try and drag us up the table, but I think he was trying to drag us to a European title with a goal in the 22nd minute. And just before half-time, it was that man again, Kraft going down the right-hand side, finding, you guessed it, Alexander Mitrovic. We were 2 goals up. A defensive error though led to Almada running through pretty cleanly with no one stopping him, managing to sneak it past Danny in goal to put them 1 goal behind. But with 96 minutes on the clock and the game ticking away, we just needed to hold on. But why hold on when you can cause their team to score an own goal? And that meant we had won the game, and we were going to a Conference League final, knocking out a fellow French club on the way. The only issue is we were facing off against Manchester United. And we certainly stepped into this game as the underdogs, a Conference League final, a European trophy chance for us, but we weren't playing like the underdogs. Nelson Viper scoring past Onana with 25 minutes on the clock. And on the brink of half-time, 45 minutes played, added time in the first half, another long ball, found Nelson Viper, played it across the area, Mitrovic scored, and he was able to help carry us to a 2-0 victory. We beat Manchester United, and we won the Europa Conference League. And look, I know it's maybe not the most special competition in the world for anyone just yet, but it is still a huge trophy for us to win here at Bordeaux. It qualifies us for the Europa League next year. We did finish in the same league position, a few more points than last season, but still a pretty big distance off the league winners. Not PSG, Monaco in this world, so clearly something's changed there, but definitely a good season for us. The semi-final of the French Cup, a Conference League win, and a European finish once again in the league. Even if we didn't win the Conference League, we still would have been in there yet again, so I think this is a really good season 4 for us. It does show we are heading in the right direction for our last year. Araujo, with his best season yet, he scored 36 goals. Meanwhile, we had Nelson Viper scoring 25, Franco with 12, Sarawi with 12, Dvashvili still getting 10 goals, he's still performing well even at this point, and is a fan favourite at the club at this stage. And we are heading into our final window with some money to spend. 11 million quid, 24 grand the wage budget. Financially, there is money in the balance, the debts and loans are cleared, and we are still improving as much as we can facilities wise. And I will tell you now, that takeover I mentioned before looks like it may be happening, because it's still going ahead. It looks like something might actually happen, but we'll see come the summer window. Either way, it's time to go ahead for season 5 now, our last window at the club. We need to add some extra talent. I said I wanted to win Ligue 1. It's a long way off, but we're going to give it our best shot. And our final transfer window was definitely the best yet. We really are becoming a top-level Ligue 1 team. We spent loads of money. We sold some players for good value too. But before I show you this window, I just want to ask you guys, the last time I'll get a chance, if you could like the video, I'd hugely appreciate it. But thank you for watching and all your support recently. But let's see who we bought in and who we sold. Let's run through the boring ones first. Mabil has left the club for 180k after a couple of good years. And Emil Kraft also moves on to go and play for Ipswich in the Premier League for 300,000. Our goalkeeper, Danny Martin, has left the club. He's gone to play for Nottingham Forest as their first choice goalkeeper in the Premier League for 10 million. Good luck to him. Could rise to 12, but yeah, I think that's good money for him as a goalie. He's not the world's best. And now he's going to play Premier League football, so a good move for both parties. And he lasted 1 year at the club, but it wasn't long before we had interest in Alexander Mitrovic. How we were able to get him in on a free, I don't know, but he served as well for a season. I think he should be a club legend just for that 1 year that he had with us. What a player he was. He managed to score 6 goals in the league. He managed to get a few in European competition too, all crucial goals, and now he's moved on to Porto for 18.25 million, rising to 22. A good move for both parties, I think. We make some easy cash on him and get to reinvest it in younger players, and he helped us for the short time he was here. Let's get into the incomings though, where our team has been bolstered massively. Firstly, Tyler Morton joins us, a fantastic midfield option, an English 24-year-old signing on a free after his contract expired at Liverpool, where he had played a little bit. Obviously not Liverpool quality, but for us, he's one of our best midfielders. Milan van Uwijk comes in at right back to replace Emil Kraft, and what an upgrade it is. The 26-year-old Dutchman looks to be a phenomenal option, signing from Coventry, another great player to add to our ranks. What a signing this is. 24-year-old Greek international, nearly 50 appearances for Greece already from Konstantelias, Giannis Konstantelias it is, with great flair, dribbling, first touch, passing, technique and vision. This guy is a real technical whiz. He's been great for PAOK so far, some fantastic average match ratings, and we are delighted to have him in as a wing option. Danny Martin's replacement in goal is Marcin Bulka, the Polish international 27-year-old, formerly of Chelsea. We've signed him from Nice, where he's been playing regular Ligue 1 football for 4 years now. He's still pretty young for a goalie, so I think that's not too bad of a deal. For anyone continuing the save over on Patreon, you'll have a great new gen centre-back to work with, a consistent performer, a Serbian 19-year-old by the name of Dejan Stefanovic, who we have picked up from Kukuriki, I don't really know how you pronounce that, but basically signed from Serbia for 1.3 million, a promising player with some great ability already. Fran Garcia, formerly of Real Madrid, is in as a new left-back option, which is a great signing for us. The Spanish 27-year-old hasn't played as much for them as he has played in real life recently, but again, another fantastic incoming for us. 2 signings to go. One is another brilliant new gem for you Patreon users, German Gali, who we have picked up at age 19 for 5.7 million, and I think he's going to be our Mitrovic replacement as that third choice striker, playing off of Viper and the Araujo, and if one of them ever leaves, he can step up and do a great job. But the jewel in our crown is Arda Güler. Real Madrid's Arda Güler, the Turkish 22-year-old now, has signed for 90 million. Some real quality we've added to the team there. What a technical gem he is. Him on one wing, Konstantelias on the other. Some great options all around. That's not even starting the likes of Sarauhi, who we picked up last season. So what a signing this is. Valued 90 million quid, and we got him on the transfer list at Real. They never gave him the chance, and we were happy for it. But this is the final team we finish with. Wadden 11, Bulka, Van Uwijk, Mosquera, Stefanovic, Fran Garcia, Francho, Ramadan, with Evian on the wing, Konstantelias on the other, Viper and the Araujo. But look at the bench, look how stacked it is. I mean, Arda Güler not even considered there just yet. He will definitely be playing a big part this season, I am sure. But now we're ready to go, and just to show you before our final year, facilities are looking good. If we have a look at the landmarks at the club, you will see there is a new chairperson, a new owner. We had a failed takeover bid before, but now we have some new ownership, and hopefully we can start upgrading things at the club. Financially, there's 21 million in the balance, only a little bit in the debts and loans. Everything is looking great for our final year, a 4-star reputation. Now though, with 1 season left, I set my sights on winning the Ligue 1 title. It's unrealistic, but you never know in rebuilds what can happen, so let's see what we can do in our 5th and final season. And our final year is a definition of a mixed bag, I would say. Let's start off with European competition, the Europa League. Last year, we won the Conference League. This year, we went in the Europa League, smashed the league phase, finished second out of all teams, winning pretty much every match, and we faced off in the round of 16 against a fellow French club in Marseille. We did actually get the first goal of the tie away from home at their stadium, a header from a corner, but a defensive error playing out the back led to Andre Silva tucking in at near post. But in the second half, we managed to get exactly what we wanted. Arda Güler cutting in, finding Gali, a great ball through to Araujo. He scores, we took a 2-1 lead from their stadium. And it was just a home tie left, so you would assume we had a very good chance of going through here against the team I'd fancy ourselves against, but Wan-Bissaka, with a cross early on, found his striker to make it 2-2. But a great move from us, playing the ball forward, allowed us to regain the lead. Arda Güler finding Davitashvili, who has been at the club since our first season in Ligue 2, and now he's scoring in the round of 16. At this point, we're leading by a goal, but then a free kick from the Marseille team led to a really weird set piece header that caused them to score and then equalise, but it wasn't too long afterwards, with the game ticking away. Wan-Bissaka, somehow a massive attacking threat, hitting the French tier, played the ball across the area again, and they managed to tuck it away. And just like that, we were knocked out of the Europa League. It kind of came out of nowhere. I wouldn't have expected to win it, but I would have liked to have knocked out Marseille. But thankfully, there was another cup competition which we were focusing in on this year. Because in the French Cup, we had managed to make it to a semi-final. Facing off against Troyes, there was a chance for us really to get into a final. We were favourites for it, and Araujo scored early on to put us in the lead, and then finished the game off from the penalty spot to send us to the French Cup final. And if there was one team that I wanted to avoid in the final of a French Cup, it would have been PSG, but unfortunately, the FM gods had it against us, and that's who we were against. And whilst we might not have the star quality that they have, we definitely have some top players that could actually benefit PSG, one of which is Arda Güler. And look at this solo goal that he scores to put us in the lead after 20 minutes. And it was him again in the 29th minute, a brilliant curling free kick to put us 2-0 up. But of course, PSG are PSG, and they're never out of a game. Joshua Kimmich was one of their signings in this rebuild, and he scored to put them 1 goal behind. And clearly their manager got into them in the second half, because just after the whistle was blown to kick off the second period of the game. Newerton found Kolo Muani, who tucked it away, and they equalised. And the game was very tight from that point. No real chances created, no goals scored, until late on in the match, we had an opportunity. Because Franco managed to play the ball onto Viper on the right wing, whose pace got him past the defence. He managed to pull the ball across, and it was Henrique Araujo, the man that's been a star for us, scoring the goal, and that meant we had managed to win the French Cup. We might have got knocked out of the Europa League, but now we have a Conference League and a French Cup to our name in our 5 years as Bordeaux manager. Now, not to underwhelm you, but the league did not go so well. We got 57 points. We will be heading back to the Europa League though, because of that win in the French Cup. It was only a couple points less than previous seasons. If we'd won another game, we could have found ourselves in 5th place. So it's kind of swings and roundabouts really, but we'll take it. The French Cup is ours. The club had a fantastic season yet again. Considering where they are in real life, it is a very, very stark change. 35 goals for Araujo, 23 from Viper. You can see the rest of the stats. Some great performers all around. Arda Güler, an absolute gem of a signing for us. If we have a look, we have managed to improve a few things under the new ownership, and hopefully things will continue. But the biggest hope I have is that Bordeaux do manage to get themselves back up at the 3rd tier. I know they have let most of their players go, most of their contracts, but they're going to try and use their youth players as much as they can. So hopefully those guys can help push the team up, get them back to the 2nd division, and one day I hope to see them again in Ligue 1. But for now, that's the end of this rebuild. So let me know down below who you'd like to see next, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.